We will be starting in approximately 1.5 minutes. We will be starting in approximately 1 minute. Hi, and thank you for joining me on this Bank Holiday Monday. My name is Wayne from Ascend Custom Designs. I am a small business owner and a part of the Xtool Squad program. The Xtool Squad is a global network of experienced makers, educators, and small business owners, such as myself. We offer one-on-one demos of the Xtool products that we own. Demos are a mix of online and in person. It differs by the host. We also offer material testing and skill training. Material testing involves testing customer supplied samples under a number of different parameters to get you perfect results, whereas skill training is essentially a one-on-one masterclass with an Xtool Squad member. We will help you skip the learning curve with help from initial setup and maintenance to helping you perfect your projects. Right now, Xtool is still running a promotion that will allow you to book a one-on-one demo of any of their products absolutely free. So if you go to the website, if I show you that now, if you go to the website and go to local service, product demo, you're able to find a local host. So it could be that you live in, say, London. So you just start typing in and you go, okay, I want to go in person. You'll have a variety of results. And it could be that you're looking for a very specific type of machine. So let's just say you're looking for the P3. And it's just that simple. When you click on the user, it will open up in a new tab. You're able to select a date, time, what you want. So product demos are absolutely free. If it's material testing and skill training, those are separate items and those are paid for, and the prices vary by host. The host sets the price. So the hosts are just normal people that have brought the machine, small business owners. And again, all product demos are absolutely free. It doesn't matter if you buy a machine or not. If you do decide to buy a machine within a certain time frame, the host that you went with gets a small commission. But in the meantime, Xtool will pay the host for their time. So instead of you paying for a demo, the host gets compensated by Xtool. And you do have the option of online. So if there's someone that's not local to you, or you have a particular host in mind and they're not local, they might even be in a different country, by all means. The only time you'll be charged money, again, is material test or skill training. So skill training is that one-on-one training. So it could just be software, learning how to use the software, or you're having some issues with a project coming out perfect. And then there's the apparel printer. So if you want a film of the apparel printer, of what it looks like, there's a small cost to that, and that's for time of the host printing out a sample and also shipping it. But other than that, product demos of any of their products, absolutely free. So I highly recommend you check that out. So I have a rough idea of what we'll be going over today. So this is the workshop I'll be running. So it's the simple products that make money. I'll be going over some very simple products that in terms of time and cost of the product, very low, but in terms of the markup, very high. So stuff that you can sell quickly. So people tend to be able to buy, items that are £5 or less without really thinking. If it's £50, it usually requires people to think about it. So keychains, cards, they're very easy items to sell because they're low cost to make and a low cost to sell, but still have a very nice markup. So this is a rough idea of what we'll be going over. So I'll go over the engravers that I'll be demoing. So the F2 and the F2 Ultra UV. We'll quickly go over some laser safety training. We'll jump into the Xtor Creative Studio software. I've done this numerous times. I want to show you again Customthings and how you can incorporate that into your workflow. Time is money. If you can get the customer to make the design, you've saved time. And when I go over the financial aspect of things, it will make absolute sense. Sometimes you have to spend money to save money, and this will save you so much time. It's well worth it. I'll briefly show you AI Make at version 2.0, and they've just come out with some more updates. So we might cover that and some of the stuff we'll be working on, custom cards, varying types of keychains. So I have some wooden keychains, some metal keychains, bamboo. So bamboo is grass, not wood, but we have all different types of keychains. If someone has something in mind, please let me know. And if I've got it in the office, we can do that as a demo. In terms of questions and answers, I'm monitoring the chat periodically. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Alternatively, if you're watching this after it's aired, you can reach out to me using the contact information on the left, and that's wayne@ascendcd.com. I've listed my number, so you can reach me in the usual method or WhatsApp, iMessage, or normal text. You can also phone me if you wish. And in terms of social media, if you go to info.ascendcd.com, all my social media handles are there, as well as my contact information again. If you want to book me for a demo, you can scan that QR code or go to demo.ascendcd.com, and that will take you to my Xtor Squad profile. Now, if we jump straight on to the Xtor F2. So this is the smaller machine. This is a machine that I would recommend if you're at a craft event. It's very lightweight. It's 4.6 kilograms. I've carried this on the train. I've took it on the bus. Easily fits in your car. And it is a dual laser system. So it has a 5-watt infrared and a 15-watt diode laser. Because of this, you're able to engrave a wide variety of items over well over 300 types of material. The infrared is very good for marking metal, whereas the diode is good for obviously cutting and engraving organic material like wood, slate. In terms of speed, it has a max speed of 6,000 millimeters a second. To put that into context, how quick it is, if this is your first laser or you're just looking, I have a gantry-based laser, the S1. It has a max speed of 100 millimeters a second. So the reason why this is so fast is it's a galvo laser. It has no moving parts. It uses a mirror in the laser head at the top to bounce the laser around the bed. So it's able to traverse great distances in very fractions of seconds, because just slight alterations of the mirror will make it go great distances. In terms of the camera, it has a 50 megapixel camera, and this provides a live workspace snapshot of what's in there. So if I was to put this green piece of paper in there and hit the photo button, it will show up. So it's not a real-time camera, but you can use that snapshot to adjust your designs on there. And in terms of accuracy, it's up to 0.1 millimeters accuracy. Put that into context, it's about the thickness of a standard piece of 80 GSM copy paper. So the camera's very accurate. And I should say it's up to 0.1. So if the laser's out of focus, you won't get that level of accuracy. And I'll show you how to focus it. It has an autofocus and you can manually focus it. In terms of the machine, it comes pre-assembled and it's ready to use Once unboxed, you do a short calibration test, and that's to just calibrate the lens, the laser. When you move the equipment, it can become uncalibrated. So I experienced this when I moved my machine to, say, the NEC. I calibrated it there. When I brought it back, I had to do the same thing. It's very straightforward. And then there's the laser safety that you have to do for the machine. So in order to operate any of the lasers, you have to do the laser safety training. And again, it's very straightforward. It's 20 minutes. It's best practices. You only have to do it once and you get a certificate. And I'll show you that later. In terms of workspace, you're looking at 11.5 by 11.5 centimeters. With the slide extension, you can expand that width from 11.5 to 40 centimeters, but you keep the height. If you want to find out more information about the F2, scan the QR code below and that'll take you to Xtal's website. I should also note that if anyone's looking to purchase a machine, I can offer an additional discount on top of whatever sale is running. Please reach out to me and we can do a host assist order. So you still pay Xtal directly, you just get an additional discount applied. And then in terms of the other machine, I will show you both of these machines after this. So the Xtal F2 Ultra UV, so it's a 5-watt UV laser, and this is a different type of laser. So you might be thinking, this is a bigger machine, this is a much more expensive machine, but it's only got a 5-watt laser. The other machine had a 5-watt, but they're different types. So the other machine had a 5-watt infrared and a 15-watt diode. This one is a 5-watt UV. So 5-watt is more than enough because of the type of laser that it is. It has I'm trying to think of the word, a different type of, because it operates on a different wavelength, it's able to absorb in the material differently. So this has high photon energy and it's able to break down or mark the material in a very different way. So you're able to engrave on material without damaging it. So this can cut wood. So it's not specifically for wood, but you can cut wood. When you do cut wood with this, which I have done, it does so without burning it. So it's quite amazing. This is sometimes known as a cold laser or cold processing. And it's not to say it doesn't produce heat. It does. It definitely does produce heat. You can create a fire with this. It just produces minimal heat compared to the other types of lasers. So diode, infrared, CO2, fiber. This machine in particular is capable of speeds of up to 15,000 millimeters a second. So that's approximately 150% faster than the F2. This has a 48 megapixel camera and has an alignment accuracy when fully focused up to 0.2 millimeters. This machine in particular is excellent for glass engraving. It can engrave on the inside of glass. When you change the lens, you got a field lens that's specifically for inner engravings. But this, with the normal lens, can engrave directly onto the surface of glass. And you might be thinking, I can do that with my diode if I paint it black, or I can do that with my CO2 laser. And you'd be absolutely right. But the way that this engraves is very different than when you paint an object, engrave it with a diode or use a CO2. When you do those methods, it causes fractures, microfractures in the glass, which create that frosting effect. So it reduces the integrity of the glass. Whereas the way the UV laser works is it engraves directly on the glass. So it doesn't do it in the same way. And that's not to say you can't break glass with the UV laser, because you can. If you are too heavy on it, you can, cause cracks. But it does it in a very different way. It comes pre-assembled and again, ready to use once you do a calibration test and done the laser safety training. If you've already done it, if this is your second laser, say if you brought the F2, then upgrade to this, you don't have to do the laser safety train, it's just a one-time deal. In terms of the workspace, 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. And again, you can expand the width up to 50 centimeters with the conveyor belt. And if you want to find out more information, scan the QR code below and that will take you to Xtal's website. With that being said, if we switch over, this is the Xtal F2. So you have an emergency stop button here. This is the protective cover. When it's in operation, With this guard down, you don't need any glasses. If you was to operate it with it up, you'll need to wear a pair of safety glasses as the laser light is exposed. By default, you cannot operate this with the guard up, but you can override it. And there are reasons why you might want to operate it with this guard open. If you're engraving something that is longer than the base, or if you're using the slide extension, you would have to have this open, so you would have to have a pair of safety glasses. In terms of buttons, you have the power button on the back. You have a few connection options here. So if you want to connect it to your computer by cable, you can. The main items that you'll be concerned with is this dial. So this dial here, I don't know how well you can see that, but if I was to zoom in on the base, you should see a red dot and a blue dot. So when you use this dial, you can manually focus the laser. When the two dots intersect, the laser is in focus. So you have that option to manually move this up and down. It's also a button if you press it. When you use the software to send the job, this is the start button. So this is what starts the machine process to engrave. And then this is a framing button. So it might not make sense, but if anyone has any questions about that, please do reach out. Now, in terms of the Ultra UV, if I switch now to my other camera, there we go, zoom out. Okay, so this is the F2 Ultra UV. I have this venting outside at the moment. Although you can't see it, it is venting outside here. This has a touchpad. So this touchpad does work with the F2, but the F2 does not come with this. So I can move the laser up or down by pressing this up and down button. This orange button here is the start button. In terms of power, you've got a power button and again, some connectivity options on the side if you want to hook it up to your computer via cable. You also have an emergency stop. So you have an emergency stop on the F2, just on the other side. The emergency stop here is right here. Doesn't help if I'm knocking stuff down. And then the bed is massive compared to the F2. You also have the same red dot and blue dot. So if I was to zoom in now, you can see there's a red dot and a blue dot. And again, the same principle applies. If I use the up and down buttons, I can make the laser, red laser and blue laser lights intersect. That means the material, the laser is now in focus with that material. Pretty straightforward. And again, you can always do it automatically in the software. So if I was to purposely leave this one not in focus, and what we'll do is we'll jump over to the software, or we'll jump over If I show you that now, if I switch over to Xtool Creative Studio, there we go. So again, Xtool Creative Studio have created a whole ecosystem. So if you ask me what's different about Xtool Creative Studio versus Lightburn, there's a cost. Xtool Creative Studio, it's absolutely free. They've got this Xtool Academy. I've gone over it numerous times. I won't again, but select the product that you're looking for. You can go over the videos. They've got the laser safety training here. You can print off the certificate. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It's all Xtool endorsed, so it's official Xtool material in that sense. They work with collaborators and small business owners, such as myself. So you might see videos from third parties in that way popping up, but again, they're endorsed by Xtool, and they are very, very helpful. They've got the Atom, so this is where you can hit the ground running, ready-made products. You can search for products, and they're ready to go. Literally, they've got thousands upon thousands. I make my own projects, but sometimes it's good to see what other people are doing. And now you've got this Customthings. So this Customthings, this for me is a very big game changer, especially if you're wanting to make money. So simple products that make money. So it is a paid for aspect, but they do have a free option. So if I go to my subscription, the free option's limited, but it will get you started. So you can have one store connection, visual product customizer, auto capture customer details, limited asset library. So I add all my own assets anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. You can process 10 items a month. Then they've got the paid for versions. So $29 a month, $69 a month. First month of the $29 is just $1. So you get to try it for $1 to see if it's going to work for you. That unlocks the plugins for Shopify, Etsy, and WooCommerce. So those are the major platforms if you have an online store. They're also coming out with integration for Wix. I'm not sure when that will be. And again, you've got all the items that are in the starter plan, but then you've got the full asset library. You can process 100 items a month, and they also have the payment gateway incorporated into that. If you go for the higher plan, you can process 500 items and you get slightly lower fees. You might have your own payment gateway. If you don't have an online store, this will get you going straight away. But you don't have to just use this for online orders. You could use this at craft fair. In fact, I would recommend you use it at a craft fair, or if you've got a physical store, you can take payment through your normal till, but you can get the customer to place the order through the website, and that will send the order directly into the software. So if you go to Customthings, if a customer right now was to place an item on the website, or using the QR code, it would pop up under orders here. So I don't use this. This is just a test. I have the online version. So you can also log in online. If you go to Customthings, so this is the Customthings store for the account that I just showed you. That's linked to my Xtool account. I won't be using this, but this is the one that's the free version that has 10 orders. I can customize. I can go, okay, customize it. I can add text. I can choose what font. But more importantly, I can even upload. So let's just say you're doing this on a laptop. Not that you would. In this case, I am. If I do this from my phone, or the customer does it from their phone, they can obviously upload directly. If someone was to scan that QR code now, so someone that is watching scans that QR code, so I'm going to use my phone. I'm going to scan that QR code. It takes you to Customthings website. So right now I'm going to upload an image. So if I was to upload a picture of, let's say I got my wedding pictures back. So me, my wife, and my dog. So if I was to show you the desk camera, I'm going to upload that image there. So if I share my screen again. There we go. It's uploaded that image. In this case, that was just an example. It's made it black and white, but I can use AI. I can use an AI filter. I can go, do you know what? That image upload isn't going to turn out good on paper. I can hit True Draw. And what that will do is that will use AI to transform that. So AI Make powers this. But I'll show you how to do it manually actually in the software, because you might be thinking, okay, this is great. How does it help me? So one, the customer makes the design. The customer does all the work, so it cuts you out. You could easily spend 5 minutes making a design. So this, I know for a fact, will engrave absolutely fine on cardstock. An image, not so much, but like a line drawing, something like that, absolutely fine. In fact, this will engrave nice on wood. This would be perfect on wood. I won't do that. What we'll do is we'll go over to the enterprise test area. So the enterprise version is what I'm going to be using. And the biggest difference is that I can manage multiple stores. So if you are looking to get this into multiple stores, this is the way to do it. This is a way to seamlessly integrate it into an existing store. So if I go over here, I've got orders. If I go to products, so I added some metal bottle openers. So I added some keychains. So if I show you on my desk camera, I've got varying colors. I've got green, blue, red. I think I've just added 2 colors. But if we take a blue one, for example, now if we go over to here, so I've published it to the stores that will be selling it, for example. I've given it a category, I've given it a name. I've added 2 variations in color. So rather than have a blue metal bottle opener and a red or green metal bottle opener, you just select one item and you can vary them by color, by thickness, by, small, medium, large. So if you're doing dog tags, I do dog tags, small, medium, large. Usually I have medium and large. I very seldom do small dog tags. So medium and large are the 2 options. And sometimes there might be ones with or without the paw print in. So there's a little paw print. So you could add all the variations in there. I just want to engrave the front. On a dog tag, you'd be looking at engraving the front and the back. What device? The F2, and you only have to set this up once. This is literally the hardest part, and it's not that difficult. Set the price, set the engravable area. So I've uploaded an image of both the blue and green versions. I've set the width and the height. What matters most is the engravable area here. So this bit here, the width and the height. If the product dimensions don't match what the actual product dimensions are, don't worry too much. It's just an approximate. This is just a visual representation for the customer. But what does matter is the customizable area, because we will drag this over the actual product when the customer has finished it. So I'll show you that. So we cancel out that, and I've done it for both the green and the blue one. What's great here is Xsolve give you the ability to set different powers. So I could add up new parameters. So at the moment I have the engrave setting. So this is the parameters. So I have the power set. I think it's 80% power, 2,500 speed, 400 dots per inch, 2 passes. But you might have a slightly different parameters in terms of power, or maybe speed, or maybe even passes for different colors. So for business cards, for example, I find the black business cards need an additional pass, clean up all the paint. I don't know if the paint is thicker or you can just see it more, but I always find the black business cards need an additional pass, and you're able to add that setting. So I could go take the green off and go, do you know what? The green needs a slightly different parameters. And when I select the engrave, I'm able to select different parameters here. In this case, we know, or I know, that the green and the blue work absolutely fine. Here is where we set what we allow the customer to do. I'm going to let them enter text in. So with the keyboard, I'm going to let them doodle with their finger, and I'm going to let them use some pre-stock images. So these are the images that are preloaded, so options for them to select. So they don't, because we're not allowing them to upload their own images, they have some pre-stocked images. And you can also create templates. So templates are very limited in the sense of customization, but they're great. So let's just say you have an image, and underneath it you just have a text option. So it will place everything in a template and only allow certain areas to be editable. So it's a quick way to get a very nice looking product for the customer. So for cards, this is very good. So you could have, for example, a shopping board, a family tree. You could have options of a tree with 2 leaves on it, 3 leaves, 4 leaves, 5 leaves, 6 leaves. And then depending on which template they click, the only thing they can edit is the name inside each leaf. So they can't edit anything else. And it's very, very effective, very quick. And what I found is, in terms of fonts, don't allow every font for the customer, because they will spend hours looking through, well, not necessarily hours, but a very long time. Limit the fonts. Sometimes the font you might want to limit to specific types of material. So in terms of like paper, certain fonts won't come out great, but they will come out great on wood. So always do your testing, but this again only needs to be done once. Set the store. And if you're doing this through Xtool, through the Xtool software directly, this would be a much simplified version of it. I'll do the same thing again. So I'll publish that, but I'll do the same thing here. So custom things, if I go to home and go to add a new product. So you've got all the different options here. If I go to products and I'll add a new product, I can add one from Xtool's template. I'll just do that quickly just to show you how easy it is. We'll do a slate coaster. So I'll say add product. It's already come up with the stock image. I could just say slate coaster, round, square, heart. So these are the different options that it allows you. So I've got round and square coasters. You can buy material directly from Xtool. So next, so I'll say, do you know what, $4.99, $4.99. That's the engravable area. That looks right. Engravable area. Again, that doesn't look right. So I can just easily just move this out like that. Now that's all right. No pricing rules set. I'll let them upload text. I'll let them upload an image. Doodle, monograms, I won't let them do that. I will let them have some images. So I'll let them have pets. Laser engraving. So in terms of parameters, you can set up parameters. So if I have a look here, it's not here. So I can go create new parameters. And what that does is that takes me to Xtool's website where I can create parameters. So I can load it from the official Xtool library. So in fact, I'll do that now. So you can't see this. But what I'm doing is I'm selecting what it is. In fact, I won't do that, but you just hit next and publish, and it's done pretty much. And it's ready to rock and roll. So that's just left that in the drafts. So here I have my custom card. I have the keychain. I also have the custom card on here. So if I was to show you this, if I reload the page, there we go. So we have a card selection here. We have price. and I can customize it. So here we're going to use the metal bottle opener. We're going to customize a metal bottle opener here. So what I'll do is I'll scan the QR code, and we'll do this off my phone. So I won't publicize this QR code, so I'll just turn this off for the moment. And what I'll do is I will scan the QR code of the store. I'm doing that now. Store management. There we go. Okay. So if I switch back over, so basically I scanned the QR code of one of the stores. So in this case, the Facebook store. So if I plug this in, this should hopefully work. There we go. So here, a customer can scan the QR code, or you can use a tablet. So you can download the Customthings app onto a tablet, onto the iPad or an Android device. Xtor also sell their kiosks, and there is a benefit to using their kiosks in the sense of Apple are a few versions below or behind in terms of the Customthings version. And that's not on Xtor, that's just the application process, takes a while to approve on the App Store. Or you can just scan the QR code and it will work on any phone. So in this case, I scanned the QR code, went to the website. I'm going to customize that. And again, you can change this from dollars to pounds. I just haven't. So I'm going to customize a blue one. And what I'll do here is I'll enter some text. So I'll enter, in fact, I'll delete that and I'll doodle. So I will just put like that. Maybe make that one thinner, go back. See if I can make it even more thinner. There we go. Submit. Confirm design. So here is where you would enter all your contact information. So I'm going to hit submit. And then what will happen is it will go online to this store here. So if I just enter that in. Hit confirm. And now I have that. So you got pickup code and everything. So what we'll do now is we will go over to orders. And you can see here. Now, I can download the XCS file that opens up in Xtor Creative Studio. I can download the PNG file. The PNG file, I don't know why you would download it. It's just that. But if I hit this process button, it automatically opens up. So as you can see there, it's opened up in Xtor Creative Studio. It's connected to my F2. If I select this, so we want to use the infrared. What I'm going to do now is if I show you the engraver camera, so this is the F2. I'm going to put in a blank. So I'm going to prop this up with the little bamboo keychain so it sits flush. It's automatically in here, put 14.5. So if I was to show you, if I just click on that 14.5 and click off, you can see it automatically focuses to the correct distance. And this is set in the product. This is set in the actual settings, the thickness of the material. So under this processing information, 14.5 on the z-axis, so that is the height or the width. So you can manually get all these settings. You might already have them for your products. If you have the lace engraver, it's very, very helpful. So this is overlaid on what we want. Now, if I was to frame it, don't know how well you can see that if you. So I know exactly where it's going to engrave. I go, okay, I like that. You know, it's not perfect, but it's good enough for this demo. And what I'll do here is just hit process. So all I'm going to do here, this process button, it's got all the settings. It's going to take 6 seconds. What I'll do is I will switch to the engraver camera. Let's just see how well you can see it with there. So I'm going to hit this and you should see this engraving. And that's 2 passes that I've done. So I could have got away with 1 pass. I'm going to open that up and zoom in. And that is literally what we just created. So how does this all tie in to, you know, simple products making money? You might think. Well, it all comes down to the time. So if we have just a look at the costs. So here I have 3 variations of costs for an hourly employee. £15 an hour, £25 an hour, £50 an hour. And that's not to say they're getting paid that. But I just have 3 sets of pricing. So it could be easy projects, it could be moderately difficult projects, and then it could be projects that require you to be on point 24/7. So to watch it. So £50 an hour. In terms of the X-Tool F2, the small one, it's 150 watt power draw. So if you was to run this consistently for 1 whole hour, not that you really realistically would be, for 1 whole hour, and it's using that maximum 150 watts of power. At the current pricing, the average pricing with the off-gem price cap, that's going to cost you 3.7 pence. It's very, very cheap. The lights in here use more electricity than that machine. And then wear and tear. So I come up with a cost for wear and tear. So you need to come up with all your costs to know how much it costs you to make a product. If you don't know how much it costs you to make this product, how do you know how to sell? How do you know how much profit you're making? So wear and tear on the machine. The way I come up with this figure is there's 52 weeks in a year. You work Monday to Friday. So that's 5. So I times that by 5 to get 260. You then times 260 by 8 hours. That's an average work day. And then you get that number. And then what I did is I divided the price of the machine I paid by that number and come up with this number, which is to run it for a minute. It's 1.2p. So wear and tear, it's 1.2p wear and tear for every minute I put on that. So I need to incorporate that into the cost of the item. Metal bottle opener, these cost me 13p when I order in bulk, fully landed. So that's with tax, customs all paid, shipping, 13p. And now we're going to say it takes us 1 minute per keychain. So I could have engraved this in 3 seconds, but there's the time placing it. There's time everywhere. So we just say a minute. You can have jigs, and I'll cover that in another session. Jigs are extremely helpful, especially if you're bulking, doing batch orders. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to use the framing. You just set it, and it's nice. But we're just going to say it takes a minute per keychain. So then if you have an hourly employee and we're charging the lowest rate, £15 an hour. And again, this is not to say you're paying them £15 an hour. but it's costing the business £15 an hour. They might be on minimum wage, but you pay national insurance. So in the end, it costs the business £15 an hour, which is what we're charging for a bog basic employee. All them expenses added up to finish this, 43p. So if you sell these for £3.99, you're making £3.56 profit. And bear in mind, that's with all the other stuff above paid for. So you're paid for your employees. So if you do one of these every minute, so if you have an employee that makes one of these every minute and you sell them for £3.99, that employee would have earned £15 because we costed that in. So the £3.56 is the profit the business makes, because realistically you should be looking at scaling this. So if you have scaling in mind from when you're just yourself, when you add additional employees, it will scale perfectly. So if you go from being a one-man band to a two-person band to you've got 10 employees, you're setting yourself up for success by scaling it, because it's unrealistic. Otherwise, you might say, my time costs nothing. It does. There is a cost to your time. So incorporate that in. And in terms of the markup, that's an 827% markup. So from 13p to this, that markup is crazy. So if you was to do these in bulk, you can offer a cheaper price. If you're doing these at a craft event, my advice would be don't go with £3.99. Go with £5, say. And the only reason I say that whole numbers is because in terms of exchanging money. And on that note, I've not incorporated any shipping into this calculation. So time spent for packaging materials. I'm assuming this is going to be a craft event. So you got two people at the craft event. You got yourself and someone else, and all you're doing is taking payment, and the employee all they're doing is cranking out the orders. So you're getting people to scan the QR code. They're designing it on your website, and all your employee has to do is go over to here and go to orders, and then we'll click on the relevant order and process it. And that's all they're doing, process. The old way of doing it is a customer will email you or tell you what you do, and you're there on the computer messing around with it. You're losing time. The design is straight away ready to import, ready to go. So you get a low-level employee, low knowledge, someone that doesn't have much knowledge yet, is just learning in and doing that. It's a very, very simple process to follow. You can easily train someone up in less than an hour how to do this. The trick is just knowing the correct parameters. So you're setting the employee up for success. So if you set all the parameters correctly in terms of power, material width, and I do understand that when you get organic material wood like these bamboo keychains, there's slight variations, not just in color but in thickness. So there is some things to watch out for in terms of make sure the dots overlap each other. But other than that, it's a very simple process, and you're getting the customer to do all the work. So they're saving you time. So they're being more invested, making something very custom. And all you're doing is doing what you do best, and that's producing the end result. So if we go back over to that. So again, you need to know your hourly wage, set what you want. I think a default of £15 an hour for if you're getting help is appropriate. But obviously, depending on where you are in life, you might want to charge a higher price. So my option would be, for example, £50 an hour. But if I'm doing bulk orders, so the benefit of this is if you're mass producing these, so if there's a customer that wants their logo on 50 of these, I wouldn't be charging them £3.99 each. For 50 of them, I'd be looking at £1 each. So I'd charge them £50 for 50, excluding taxes and shipping. And for that reason, is if it's all the same, it's even easier for you in terms of time. You can fit 4 of these keychains on the small F2. You can batch out 4 at a time. And if you have a jig, so a jig is something that you can place on the workbed, you can screw it down. If you have a template, you know exactly where things are. And again, if it's all the same item, you can batch these out in no time. If you're looking at the bigger machines, the ultras, literally 3 batches and you'll be done with the 50. Depending on how you align them. Might even be 4 even, but you can do these on the bigger beds if you want. So you got to choose the right machine for you. But my advice, if you're taking it to a craft show, the F2 is more is easier to carry in terms of weight and size. It comes with a handle. It's 4.6 kilograms. The F2 Ultra UV, for example, I don't know about the other ultras. The one that I got there, the Ultra, is 22.5 kilograms. It's heavy, but it's not the weight that makes it difficult. It's how to grab it. You have to grab it from the bottom. I've got small fingers, thankfully, so I'm able to reach under the bed and lift it up. But it can be quite an effort to move this around, and then you got to calibrate it and things like that. And then there's a higher power draw. So you got to weigh up the pros and cons. But if you're doing craft events and looking at doing car boots, the F2 will run off an external generator. It will run off a battery powered generator. And again, it's not running continually. You're only using it. It's only using power when you run it. The only thing that I would say is look for a portable router. So don't just, so I have a portable router that I use that has, I have a few different SIM cards depending on what the signal's like where I'm at. But I highly recommend you invest in something like that. In terms of payments, going digital, although you do take a hit in terms of transaction charges, it's less effort, less chance of people trying to steal money. It's just easy, contactless. You're not having to mess around with change. If you have weird pricing like $3.99, you don't want to be losing time messing with change. Just a simple tap of the phone is worth losing that little bit of money versus time. Because if you have a situation where you have lots of people wanting things and the queue's getting bigger and bigger, it's going to drive people away. So you're going to lose business. So it's better to lose some money, but overall make more money. You have to spend money to make money, unfortunately. And with that being said, that's all we have time for today. I'll be online again tomorrow. I'll be covering pretty much the same thing. I might do some card stock. So I do have, small items that generate, a lot of money in terms of profit. Card stock. So this is just generic hobbycraft card stock. How much do people pay for cards? So you have a card for all sorts of events, from the best of events like a marriage and a birthday to the worst of events like condolences. You can keep blank cardstock like I got here. Give the customer a choice of templates, which I'll show you tomorrow. And we'll do that on the F2 Ultra because it's got a bigger work area. But you can have customers customize cards, Father's Day cards. I'll show you how the templates work. And again, this Customthings is setting you up for success because you're getting the customer do all the hard work, all the time-consuming work of creating the design. You've set up the options. You only have to do that once, and then you have a variety of ways that you can engrave it, get it to engrave. You can engrave it directly from the tablet. So if you have a tablet on the store or in store, you don't even have to have a computer. You can drive it all from the tablet. And this is an X-Tool tablet. I've done it with my own iPad. And like I said, the only difference is the iPad version is a few versions behind. And that's simply because of the app review process on Apple's part. It takes a while. But if you want to find out more information, please check out my links below. Reach out to me, let me know what you think, and I'll point you in the right direction if I don't know, or help you if I can. And I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll be online at the same time as